Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to JIF Summit 2025. I hope everyone is ready to receive fresh perspectives on our plenary discussion. So as promised, our next agenda will be a plenary session carrying a very intriguing theme, Invest Smart for a Global Start. And this session will feature speakers, distinguished speakers, industry leaders who will share insightful perspectives on building a smart, sustainable, collaborative investment ecosystem for Jakarta's future as a global city. And we would like to invite everyone to take part in it because our discussion will include a lot of things that will shape up Jakarta to be a better global city. And this can be actually put into the Slido. So I will introduce you to Slido, where you can actually put what you think about smart investing for a global start. And we'll also show the questions on the screen. So, distinguished guests, before we begin our plenary discussion this morning, would like to invite you to join a short interactive session. Please take a moment to scan the QR code that will be shown on the screen and share about InvestSmart for a global start. So we'll have a couple of questions, and we have around 1 minute for you to answer each question, every question. So let's have the QR code shown on the screen right now. So this is the Slido I was talking about. And all of the questions here will actually be discussed in our plenary session. So all right, everyone, please scan the QR code. Now you find the Slido. We'll have the first question there, so let me read it out for you. What is the first thing in your mind when you hear about smart investment? Okay, we'll wait for about 30 seconds for you to answer. Okay, you can actually see the results of your answers shown on the screen right now. Very interesting. We have green, responsible, technology, responsible actually being the top choices of people. Green, sustainable, responsible. Very well. Now, let's move on to the second question. What is the sector that most likely developed through smart investment application? What is the sector that most likely developed through smart investment application? All right, green, that is on top of everyone's mind, apparently. Environment, again, related to green. Transportation, very much needed for Jakarta. Energy, property, and other things also shown. Thank you for putting your minds to this shared Slido before we start the plenary. Okay, so we can move on to our next question. Number 3, from SMART concept, which concept is the strongest aspect that Jakarta already have? It is actually a multiple choice question. Number 1, you can choose sustainable or mutual collaboration, adding value, research and database, or tech and innovation oriented. Let's see the result. Oh, most of you chose mutual collaboration. Collaboration is the word that has been resounded a lot during this event. Okay, so thank you very much for your enthusiasm and participation. Now we can see and set that we are ready to start with the plenary discussion, and of course, your ideas will be included in this plenary discussion. So thank you. And Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now move into the anticipated high-level panel discussion, Invest Smart for a Global Start, where we'll explore Jakarta's smart investment landscape with speakers lined up from the Ministry of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, from the Jakarta Provincial Government, from Danantara Indonesia, Creador Indonesia, and KADIN Indonesia. And it is my utmost respect to also introduce our moderator for the day. Let's welcome Professor Dr. Insinyur Sutanto Suehodho, M.Eng, a Nobel Professor of Universitas Indonesia, to lead the plenary session.
Thank you, Rama. Well, thank you very much, Rama. And I would like, I think, to welcome all the distinguished guests here, and of course we have some discussion after all with all the distinguished guest speakers. So this Jakarta Investment Festival Summit 2025 serves as our platform to showcase the Jakarta vast economic potential and to foster the key cross-sector collaboration that will drive sustainable and inclusive growth. I will be the moderator for today, and of course, I will have some highlight about the Invest Smart for a Global Start here. So despite global political tension and also the nationwide economic challenges, Jakarta continues to stand tall with strong investment, attractive market potential, and a resilient investment climate. This strength is reflected in rapid economic growth that contributes 16.61% to the national economy, with the Jakarta growth reaching 5.18%, higher than the national growth of Indonesia, of course, which is about 5.12%. In addition to this investment realization in the first half of 2025, also shows solid performance, increasing by 16.9% year on year and to reach the 140.8 trillion rupiah. So demonstrating Jakarta continued appeal for both domestic and foreign investors. Looking ahead, the Jakarta aspiration to be among the world's top 50 global cities by 2030 will rely not only on solid economic performance but also on effective governance, innovation, and sustainability. So realizing the vision will require, of course, the support from national and also local governments, alignment with long-term priorities, and also consistent investment to build the institutional, economic, as well as social foundation of a leading global city. Our discussion today the session will be conducted in a fireside chat format for 50 minutes, then followed by a question and answer session with the audience. So, not to make any further ado, so I would like to call all our distinguished speaker here. So I have here the Mrs. Atika Rahmania, but for today she will be represented by Mr. Inov. Please come to the Zoom. Inov is the Deputy Head of Jakarta Board for the Regional Development Planning of Local Jakarta Government. And the second speaker is Mr. Suryo Mulyono, Tony, please. He is the Director of Finance of PT Danantara Investment Management. And we have also here the third speaker, Dr. Ingenieur Darwin Cyril Noerhadi, which is the Chairman of Creador Indonesia, and he is also a senior expert in economy and investment. Last but not least, I will call also Mr. Bayu Priawan Djokosoetono, which is the Vice Chairman for National Development Planning, Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KADIN Indonesia. She is also the President Commissioner of the Bluebird Group. Here we are, we have all the four participants of the distinguished speakers, and I don't think I have to read through all his bio because their bio of a very famous person, and I think you know some of them very well. So for Inov, I think Inov is the Deputy of Jakarta Board Regional Development Planning. He is currently served also as the Deputy Head of the Jakarta Regional Planning, Bapeda, overseeing the formulation, coordination, and also the evaluation of the Jakarta strategic development policies. As for the Mr. Suryo Mulyono, or we call it Tony, he is the Director of Finance PT Danantara Investment Management, and he is a financial strategist with 2 decades of experience in banking and investment management, as well as a Director of Finance at Danantara Investment Management. He oversees strategic funding and balance sheet optimization to drive sustainable portfolio performance. We have also here Dr. Cyril, who is the Chairman of Creador Indonesia and Senior Expert in Economy and Investment. Cyril Noerhadi is an independent supervisory board member of Indonesian Sovereign Wealth Fund, or INA, and a leading investor in Indonesia. Finally, we have Mr. Bayu here, Bayu Priawan Djokosoetono. He's the Vice Chairman for National Development Planning Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry KADIN Indonesia, and the President Commissioner of Bluebird Group. Well, to start this discussion, I would like to have some insight actually about what is happening in our nearest neighbor, that is Singapore. I was thinking that right now, today, we are talking about the investment in the city of Jakarta. But if we look at our nearest neighbor, Singapore, they are also doing very good in their investment, which is coming from many national and also international investors. So I was thinking that one of the thing that they build is actually the urban amenities. Means that, transportation is part of that. So they build the infrastructures, very good for public and also for private. They are not only building also the goods movement for logistic, for example, and you know very well that PSA, the Port of Singapore Authority, I think one of the busiest port in the world. And as I know that they have million tons of commodity, which is probably only 5% of this million ton is actually being consumed locally, and the rest is being re-exported to other country. So this is, I think, a very interesting story of Singapore. They are not only building the culture of the people, they also have a very good and sustainable government with security for the investor. And I think this is quite interesting to know one of the way they are taking, for example, if I would say they are cheating for 1 hour earlier time of geographically, because I think they are in position with Indonesia, the similar time, but they start earlier. So people in Singapore wake up 1 hour earlier than us. To what extent? Because they want to do business earlier than other countries like Indonesia. So I think this is the ways that we might probably have to discuss with you in this forum. And I think I would start probably with some tips that I was given from the organizer, that I have to raise 3 questions actually. So looking at what have been discussed and represented by some of the people this morning, I think we know exactly that Jakarta has to be sexy for investment, not coming only from private, but also the national government, for example. And following that, I think the enactment of the law number 21 of 2023, which marked the Jakarta transition after the capital relocation at IKN. How do you see this moment creating opportunities for the city to grow as a global investment hub? That is number 1. And number 2, what concrete steps are needed for Jakarta to achieve its aspiration of being among the world's top 50 global cities by 2030? And finally, how can Jakarta maintain investor confidence amidst global uncertainties and shifting geopolitical landscape? So I think this can be answered by each and every of you, but I think if you're thinking that you will be in position not to answer, you just say you're not in position to give some insight of something. May I start with you, enough that we are representing the Jakarta local government, please.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Prof. Sutanto, and very well, good morning to all of you, all the participants, all the distinguished speakers, and also a colleague from the government of Jakarta. Actually, this is not a good morning actually for me, since we'll be moderated by Prof. Sutanto, which is he used to our mentor actually in the government, and we learned a lot of things from him about industry, but especially about transport. Yeah, that's why he is the professor of the civil engineering of University of Indonesia. Before come to the question, Pak Tanto, I'd like to allow me to first to convey Ibu Atika sincere apologize, since she cannot join with us on these important discussions because Ibu Atika is asked or mandated by the governor as one of the synergized team, or the engagement team, to discuss with the central government. So this morning, he has to meet with the colleague from the coordinating Ministry of Economic to dealing about about the future Jakarta, especially for 2026, regarding to the adjustment of dana bagi hasil, actually. Yeah, so we have like to think about the creative financing to make sure that our target for the 2026 can still achieve. And we have like to optimistic to make sure that all the target at 2026 we can accomplish. Currently, actually, it's already mentioned by some keynote this morning by Pak Rosa and Pak Governor. It's about the Jakarta is actually the economic powerhouse. If I may mention about the term, Pak Tanto, the economic powerhouse of the national economy, as it contributes to 16.6%, to the national GDP. If we combine with the surrounding activities with the Bodetabek, it could reach until 25% contributions to the national GDP. And moreover, about the investment number, until the first semester, it reached 140 trillion rupiah. Combine the foreign direct investment and also for the domestic direct investment, which is, and for the foreign direct investment, the most contributions coming from the Singapore that you already use as the background for the discussions, and the sector is coming from the transportation, warehouse, and telecommunication sectors, which is in line with the survey that we did just now, Pak Tanto. But the transport is one of the highest response from the audience. Yeah, looks like that between the perspective and also the realizations of the investment is quite matched, Pak. That means we are on the right track. Yeah, and regarding to the post-relocations of the capital city, we believe that these transitions after the post-relocations of the capital city could be a new chapter for us, actually, to evolve as a global economic hub. And we do believe, it's also strengthened by the mandated of the national regulations, Pak, Undang-Undang number 2 in 2024, but the special, not capital, it's a special region of Jakarta. We call it DKJ in Bahasa. Jakarta is mandated as the economic center and a global city. So the term is for global city is not coming from us, but even though that we also do some study about how we can develop Jakarta to be more competitive in the global city communities, but it's all, the main reason is it's mandated by the regulation, Pak. And we believe that it's an opportunity for us to enhance about the autonomy and the flexibility. That's why during the discussion composing for the regulations, we propose some of the flexibility to give us more space, actually to intensify and extensify about the source of income, about how we dealing with some problems, in many things, including about the infrastructure, about the process of how we dealing with the source of investment from outside, including grant, also loan. Because we cannot only just wait and while at the same time we have like to cope with all the city's problem. Yeah. So basically that we believe in line with the president's decisions to pointed Nusantara as the political capital city of Indonesia. And we strongly believe that with all our significant contributions to Indonesia, Jakarta is not only playing as the Indonesia economic capital, Pak Tanto, but also as a global investment hub. Yeah, I think that's for this point.
Okay, I think we got some answer also from EDF that the country of Indonesia, which is having a new capital in ASEAN, but I think Jakarta will not stopping of doing business and expecting a lot more on the investment and financing scheme from others.
Yeah.
Not only from, you mean by the local budget or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll move to Tony. Maybe you have something to say here about the 3 questions we raised to you.
Sure, thanks, Prof. Tanto. So I was interested with your notion about Singapore, right? If we look at Singapore when they declared this independence back in 1965, they didn't have anything. They just a little red dot in the map with nothing to offer. No land, no source of minerals or to sell, nothing. So at that time, the Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, he did remarkable kind of efforts. Basically, the first thing he wanted to do is to build the human capital. So that is the basic foundation for building a nation as well as a country, and specifically, of course, for a city. So without the human capital, of course, you cannot attract investments, be it investment or developments. And having said this, building the human capital, of course, then you will, generate multiplier effect on many kind of sectors. So we know Singapore's are very good in services, right? All the banking, all the, the services like legals, world class are there. Also the logistics, they are very good. So what we can replicate from them is basically, specifically, let's say for Jakarta, we can always, firstly invest in our human capital, and many things that we can achieve that. And basically, from what I understand, nowadays, digital is the key element in order to facilitate the education to everyone. And of course, I believe Jakarta shouldn't have any blank spot on this kind of digital reach. So, but then again, Indonesia still need further kind of development, not only on digital infrastructure, but also other forms of infrastructure. And this is specifically to Jakarta, also to answer all the urban issues that we are currently facing. We just heard from Pak Rosan and Pak Pramono Anung about waste issues, which from Danantara we are also quite happy to introduce this waste to energy solution across Indonesia, including in Jakarta, because we understand this urban issue, especially with the increasing population, will be translating, of course, to increased waste. And just to give perspective, this waste, from Indonesia, it's every year is 35 million ton per year, the production of waste. This 35 million ton per year, if you spread across Jakarta, all the waste, it can cover the whole Jakarta with a thick of 20 centimeters. So you can imagine the seriousness of the problem. Therefore, we try to introduce this waste to energy solution to cities, including Jakarta, with multiple kind of benefits. I can give the breakdown of the benefits, but perhaps later when we have more time to discuss. Thank you, Pak Prof.
Right, then thank you, Tony. I remember Jakarta as compared to Singapore, actually, long time ago, Jakarta is actually larger than, because, you know, geographically, because it was like 700 kilometers square, but now I think Singapore is a bit more larger. You know what they are doing? They are doing some reclamation. So, and one of the methods they use actually for reclamation of the island is actually by using the waste. I mean, the residue of the waste to energy is being used for reclamation. And they do it especially for the port of Singapore because they need some more space for the port because they want to attract more community to move and tranship in Singapore. I think this is one smart idea of Singapore to increase the capacity of growing economy, but also inviting some investor and also some support from the international communities. Dr. Cyril, you may have some something to convey here for especially the point number 3. Actually, I'm expecting that how Jakarta can be a kind of sexy investment for many international institutions to look at the global city of Jakarta probably in the future in 2020 to 2030. So while the shifting of the uncertainties and also the shifting of geopolitical landscape, I think it's very hard to look at this situation. I mean, it's very competitive.
Thank you. I think first and foremost is a very good morning to all of us. I need to greet all the other prominent panelists, Pak Bayu, and of course Pak Tony and Pak Idef, and of course the moderator, Pak Tanto. And I think I would see that Jakarta has its own unique position. So I think that's very important. Of course, different with Singapore, and I saw the pictures when the governor of Jakarta visited New York and see the difference, what's Jakarta and New York. And I see that, of course, New York is also a global, international city with all the problems. But of course, the local mayor or the governor would fix that problem, and that would attract investment. Jakarta, what's the most problem? I see at least there are 3 main problems. So, of course, the question is really how to attract Jakarta becoming, you know, continuously growing attractive for investment. The first problem is already mentioned about waste. 8,000 tons per day. That problem could be an opportunity, and entrepreneur, investors will definitely search for opportunities. The question is how attractive these opportunities, how much return that actually could be generated from this investment. And that attractive return is coming along with the risks. As always, the question is how to mitigate that risk from the investor perspective. Give you an example, if investing in waste takes, let's say, 20 years, so how many governors going to be replaced? Will that regulation remain the same? That's another risk to be considered from the governor as the regulator, also looking at that certainty of investment. So with that, the question is what sectors that will be attractive? So before we answer that question, first problem is waste. And waste is already fixed by Danantara, if I'm not mistaken, was mentioned by Pak Rosan, the minister, right? And Pak Ferry is here. So 8,000 ton waste is fixed, but are there any other opportunity? And there could be also other opportunity. Pak IDEF could also providing any other additional investment relating to waste. For example, the logistic issues and taking care of, you know, from the house to the end of the waste central, who is doing it? How efficient is in doing it? Would the government is better doing it, or would private be better doing it with certain incentives? So there are a lot of things that could be developed on that part. So that's waste. Number two is definitely transportation, or the problem is traffic, right? There are a lot of solutions been given the last 5, 10, 15 years on this solving the traffic jam problem. MRT is there, LRT, light rail train is there, and busway is there. So the infrastructure's already been there. The question how frequent that busway, LRT, MRT been traveling. Could be, let's say, 24 hours. Well, who is going to do it? We sometimes look at from the consumer perspective, but there are also producers who are doing it. And the producer have to be, very clear in terms of KPIs, the service level agreement. All the details have to be there. So the consumer are happy when using the busway, using the LRT, MRT. So there's definitely clarity of, performance measurement on that part from the government perspective. For the consumer are happy using it. And then when the consumer happy, it attracts further investment. So I think that would be number two in terms of the traffic jam. Number three is flooding. Sometimes, of course, it's cyclical. You have to measure about, let's say, the rainfalls in terms of water drops, and then anticipating that would be good. Early detection would be good. Now, how is going that problem be attractive for investment? And that would be the governor or the government of, in this case, provincial DKI would think of how to attract that investment. Now, from the risk perspective, of course, if the investor will see only a short term, meaning 3 to 5 years because of long-term certainty are not there, then what sectors are attractive for 3 years and 4 years? I see Jakarta a lot of tourism. It's a very old city, 100, 200, 300, 400 years. And there are a lot of things that could be attractive points. Tourism, we know that there is a, Taman Ismail Marzuki, there is a Jakarta Old City. So there are a lot of attractive points, and maybe there are a lot of abandoned properties in the northern part of Jakarta. What would the government think of planning, in terms of planology perspective, in terms optimizing that abandoned properties? What would be the thinking of, certain cluster that's going to be in the northern part of Jakarta? So it was mentioned this morning about the Great Wall giant, is going to happen that. And would there be a opportunity for investment on that abandoned properties? So if there are, what would be the term that make it attractive for investors, so private investors? They can buy and also lease to buy or any other terms that would be attractive. And that become a certain zone for, Jakarta. So I think tourism is definitely there. Business definitely is there. The other thing is AI, artificial intelligence. It definitely requires data center. You know how the growth of data center regionally is very fast. And it definitely, with the development of artificial intelligence, requires AI, require data center. And we know in this nationwide, a lot of development of data center. In Batam, for example, over 70 megawatt. It's within 1 year is done. Nation in Jakarta and Surabaya maybe 9 megawatts data center. So that also be an opportunity for Jakarta to become a prospect for investment. So I think in that context, how the regulation with respect to property allocation, tata kota lah, for example, usage of the property location. I think that would be my immediate comments before we can have further discussion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Cyril. I think there are some prospective projects that you can follow up, I think, for some investment coming from probably the audience today. Okay, Leslie, probably Bayu, you may have some comment or some insight for us.
Yes, thank you, Professor. Good morning, everyone, distinguished guests, distinguished speakers. It's very interesting when I hear the explanation from the from the speakers, and especially when the opening from professor saying, comparing Jakarta with Singapore. Well, if we know Singapore, one fact is the biggest lender of Indonesia. Another thing is Singapore is also city of or country of fines, country of penalties, country of rules, country of very strict rules. It looks like very, very scary if people don't know, don't understand about. If we only see that terminology, I want to explain about that first. But when we go there, it seems nothing. There is no scary at all in Singapore. It's very open, very creative driven for the people, and everything is in order, everything is in place, everything is very well managed in Singapore. And I agree with Pak Tony's explanation before. They have been very successful in developing their people. And the question is, why do they become very successful? What is it that they implement in their country so that they can become the business hub, investment hub in the world? One thing that I understand with Singapore is they have been successfully implement such regulations that creates stability, assurance for the investments, creates peace of mind for doing business, and the ease of doing business there is it's very easy. It's just like the regulation is clear, the competition is fair around there, and the policy is clear, and also it's a clean government, and also the political is also very stable there. So meaning that these things is needed, in my understanding, to create a city to become a modern investment or global hub, global cities, yeah, global business cities. So let's go to Jakarta. What is in Jakarta? We know that with the first questions is the changing of capital to Kalimantan. And we as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, how does we perceive this? I think this is a good thing for us because it will make Jakarta to become more focused. And it will not be burdened anymore with the administrative and bureaucracy headache. Yeah. So that Jakarta as a city can be a focus for making this Jakarta, the city, is to become the investment hub, the business hub, and all the regulation can be created towards to these things. So if we talk about the opportunities and what is it that people, business people needed, we as an investor, we as a businessman, we need assurance when doing business. We invest in a certain business. We need stability. We need our business to become sustainable. So I think this is what at the moment is going is better now, is improving a lot, but I think Jakarta need to have more political will to create such policies that can foster competitiveness, transparency, clean governments, and also some regulation that can protect the investment, either foreign direct investment or PMDN, so that they can focus on creativity and creating competitiveness rather than being scary about what's going to happen when the leader change. So this kind of things needed. And about the opportunities, I think there's a lot of opportunities in Indonesia, but to become the global hub and global business cities, one thing that need to be in place in Jakarta is the infrastructure. Infrastructure, not only for transportation or mobility, I call it mobility, not transportation, because mobility has more wider meaning rather than just transportation, just like moving one people to another. But mobility is for transferring people and goods and services to one place to another and create integration throughout the area. That's why I call it mobility. So the infrastructure for mobility is need to be there, and also this need to be follow with the technology and the IT base, the connections, because yeah, global city will have no blind spot like we already said, like Pak Tony said also. So the connection and mobility, the infrastructure that I think is a must, and it's an opportunity as well, data center and etc. And besides that, Jakarta also have to, the people itself, we need to invest in the people so that the culture of the people can be changed from how do you call it? It's fostering the people of Jakarta to become more disciplined, to become more order, and that will create creativity among the people, productivity among the people, so that the business will harness. I think that's what we need in Jakarta. Another thing is clean government is needed, and we are very much thank you and give very high appreciation to our government now, our central government now, that the corruption is very good lah for the. We know that the Pak Presiden is focused for eliminating the corruption, and I think this is a very good tone for us, very good vibe for the business environment, because that creates assurance for business people, for investment as well. And I hope that they can be continue in the future, and also either local government and central government can have the same policy. It's not overlapping the policy, because it's also needed for us in the business sectors. Yeah, I think that is my thoughts. And there are so many opportunities actually. We call it MICE, tourism, and IT, database, and also as a financial sectors. That's an opportunity for Jakarta to be implemented. I think that's my opinion at the moment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bayu. Actually, I got a lot of questions being tipped by the organizer, but I think if I will raise that question, it will take some time, and probably I don't have time for the floor. So I would like probably only to elaborate one thing. You know, for the Jakarta government and Jakarta at large, I think what we need is actually to build up. You have already mentioned before that we have probably to improve of infrastructures and all the other urban amenities, like the wastewater, the solid waste, and everything. So in my opinion, those kind of investment is actually a long investment. I mean, it's a long return for you if you're an investor. Whereas many businessmen, I think that if I don't get my money back in 5 years, forget about the business, forget about the investment. So what do you think about that? Because a lot of the things that we have to build is actually the public domain. You say about the giant seawalls, for example, for flood control, and also some of the waste, clean water as well. So all those things, I think actually is really things that really not interesting for the private sectors probably, because you may have to have a long return for that. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, in the investment point of view, I think we are not looking for only for short or mid-term investment, but it's more to the sustainability of our for our investment. So yes, many people or many businessmen think this is short to mid-term. The investment need to be returned, but more important that only 5 years or 7 years or 3 years, we need to have assurance that the investment, we need to have the guarantee that the investment will return, and the government or the regulation support and protect our investment in the midterm and long run. So it's more to the sustainability of the business itself, rather than how many years that the investment can take in place for the return. So my point of view, we have no problem with have a long-term investment, as long as the policy, the regulation is not changed. What we are scared is when we do investment, and after 5 years, the policy is changed. The policy is changed. The regulation is changed. The landscape is changing. So this create frustration for, I think, for many businesses, not only one sector or other sectors, but many sectors. They need such environment, such ecosystems, and such regulations that can assure the sustainability of their business and their investment. I think that's the point.
I think, yeah.
Tony, please, you have something?
Sure. I would like to add on that sustainability part. We in Danantara, our vision is actually to build. We are the sovereign wealth fund, and we want to be the best in the world, one of the best in the world of sovereign wealth fund. And we would like to make a significant contribution to the national income through social impact, such as job creations. So, and we're here for long term. So our investment can be very long term, and it has to be profitable, of course. But by having said that, it also have a meaningful social impact that we in Danantara, our aim is, our investment is not only for profits, but also for progress, which we can then lay good foundations for the future Indonesia economic resilience. And this economic resilience can be passed on to our next generations. And why we need this economic resilience? Because from the past 1 year, we have noticed the deglobalization theme around the world, where Trump posed tariff, etc., etc. So we have to build this kind of security. And we in Danantara, we have several sectors which we are focusing. We have 8 priority sectors. First will be the minerals, and then renewables, energy, and then the digital infrastructure, healthcare, financial services, infrastructure and utilities. And then 7th will be the industrial estate, as well as a property, and of course, food and agriculture. These 8 sectors basically are key for our security. Mostly what we want to achieve is the food security as well as energy security. And we know the game is long term. But as long as we know that there is enough return, but more importantly, there is impact in this kind of investment.
Thank you, Tony. You, Dev?
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to add something about the concerns about the continuity and also the certainty, right? Yeah. Actually, for our long-term visions, Jakarta, through the collaborations with the Kearney, study for our long-term visions and how we creating a roadmap for how Jakarta could reach for the top 20 global cities at the 2045. But in line with those focus, we believe that we have like to start with the how we call it from the rise for the first stage of the 20 years visions. At the first stage for the next 5 years, we are focusing to we call it readiness and fixing the fundamentals. So the readiness is including and also fixing fundamentals, including for the how we should dealing or invest more in infrastructure to accomplish or to dealing or to cope with all the problems that all the panelists mentioned about the transport, about the wastewater. Actually, wastewater is also not speakers mentioned about the wastewater, Prof. Yeah, actually, wastewater is also one of the biggest problem in Jakarta. Yeah, since Jakarta for the wastewater is only reach 21%. So it's very significant different if we comparing with the coverage of our clean water. It's already reached 73 or 4%. Yeah, that's why we are one of our focus for the next 5 years is how we should invest more in infrastructure. Regarding to the transport that you mentioned, all the speaker mentions, we believe that it's quite in line with our vision. Actually, we'd like to reduce the urban inefficiencies. Yeah, for sure, for the investors, yeah, domestic or even from the abroad, yeah, they will consider more about how efficient the city. Yeah, yeah, that's why we're trying to increase or to improve the efficiencies of our cities through the connective mobility, yeah, and also how we can reduce the traffic, use the AI also in all the cross sections, and also, yeah, that's why we're trying to reduce the movement. Because if Jakarta is not only dealing with the mobility of its people, its inhabitants, Prof. Because based on the statistic agency data, every day, Jakarta have to serve for 4.4 million people are coming to Jakarta. We call it commuter. Yeah, that's why we are trying to how we can increase the capacity of the public transport, yeah, to the MRT, LRT, and also the Transjakarta. And for sure, it's not easy for us. Actually, we have like to spare or dedicated some amount of money from our local budget to increase, try to shift more people from private vehicles to the public transport. So at least to, yeah, regarding for the public, we call it public service obligations for our subsidized, it reach more than 5 trillion rupiah every year, Prof. So yeah, that's maybe how we can give a bigger picture about how concerned Jakarta to dealing with the infrastructure to increase the mobility and the efficiency of the city. Not to mention also to how we can improve regarding to the Singapore's experience to make it Jakarta more livable. Yeah, and that's why also we are trying to develop a more proper pedestrians to increase more people to use the public transport and also to walk. Because one of the research mentions that the Jakarta citizen belong to one of the laziness category because we are every arrive at the public transport, then we just call Gojek, yeah, the online. That's right. Yeah, that's why we are trying to how we can make it Jakarta be more active and be more mobile. Yeah, maybe that's one to add.
Thank you, Dev. Cyril, you have something?
Yes, sure. Yeah, long-term investment, infrastructure gives different return. I can give you from the perspective of, Creador is different. Different in terms of target return is like over 20% dollar. So how do you get that return in terms of sectors? It's really specific on financial services and consumer retail oriented, and of course business related And we have been investing in like over 60 companies in Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Philippines, Vietnam. So, and one of the investment in Indonesia is like, for example, Rahmania. We did investment and sold already. And of course, Mr. DIY and one of other thing is Chimori, right? So there are also other, today we do have some investment. In the region also we have some investment like similar to Gojek in Philippines. But that is different target return. So for infrastructure, I don't think that's for us. But I'm also sitting as I know that government has a sovereign wealth fund, Indonesia Investment Authority, was set up by the Omnibus Law in 2020 under sui generis law, and has been investing since 2021 in sectors like telecommunication. Data center just actually set up in Batam with Chinese investor from Greenfield, less than 1 year already up and running, 72 million megawatt. The other sector is healthcare. And most important on infrastructure is toll road. So toll road, why actually INA was created, is really to be matching fund, co-invest alongside with foreign investors. The question from foreign investor when INA was set up, what actually make foreign investor like to invest in Indonesia? What concerned them invest in Indonesia? And the answer, of course, certainty. So investor in toll road that has a concession 30, 40 years. The president already changed 4 times by then. So how then the investor, foreign investor can be secured in terms of risk mitigation that the return are there, despite it could be double-digit return on rupiah, because rupiah generating a return. And not to mention about depreciation, foreign exchange risks. So that's where INA comes, Indonesia Investment Authority, co-invest alongside with them. And with partners, and partners comes from Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, partner comes from Algemin Pension Group. So the 3 of us, we look at what a return rate that actually acceptable to the consortium of investors. The investment could be like $1.5 billion for one toll road, Sumatra toll road, Medan Binjai, Merak Bakauheni. So that's an example. Now, I know, of course, Jakarta is going to be the metropolitan city and historic city, but still requires infrastructures, and that requires, of course, long-term investment as, the preference are there. So the certainty, it could be where Jakarta also has so-called regional owned entity, JAKPRO, Jakarta Propertindo, right? So Jakarta, not only as regulator authority, but also investor in a way, operator, there is a business, has a lot of property, I know that. And JAKPRO also built this stadium in northern part of Jakarta, also running the waste in some, what you call it, in northern part of Jakarta, and also has a purchasing power agreement with PLN already, but it's been there since 2016, it's just not there yet. And the issue is really the certainty for investor. And once the investor there for, purchasing power agreement for 30 years with PLN, so that would be good to have, deliverables. Because like it was also mentioned today, the inflation rate was 2.3%, which is good. Why I mentioned that? The target return, as I mentioned, target return could be 15%, for example. But the realized return, it could be less or more than that. And that could be progress alongside, if we're talking about infrastructure, during the development period and the construction period, for example, and then operational period. So the operational period has to actually giving the return as targeted, like 15%. So inflation target 2.5%, for example, but the realized is 2.3%, which is better. So meaning the government actually closely monitor what's going on, what factors, driving that inflation rate could be low, Likewise, in the investment, what driving factors to generate the return as such that realizing the target return? Now, I think this is what most important from the governor perspective to closely monitor. And with JAKPRO co-invest alongside with the other investor can also fill the pearls of the investment performance. So I think that would be one of the way. And I see also that there is a one-stop service like serving the investor, right? It's very much simpler, faster. I think that's the tagline. And that's good for restaurant or cafe, because that short-term investor, I think hopefully less than 12 months should be payback period achieved already. But beyond that is becoming adding more return. So that is really short-term return. But infrastructure, waste energy, it's going to be different. Great giant seawall could be different. It is good for other investment, like more consumer-oriented investment. I think that's my tips.
Okay, thank you. Well, now I got. Oh, you want to have something more?
I want to
Please.
add more, maybe to wrap up. I agree that the collaborations between the private sectors, the government, the provincial government, and the central governments, and also now we have a Danantara to boost the sustainability issues, or the assurance issues among the business sectors or investors. I think that is one of the good strategy. And Danantara is a very good vision. I mean, it's a very breakthrough. We also, as a private sectors also perceive that is a very breakthrough. And because it's not only social wealth fund, sovereign wealth fund, but also is focused on social investment as well, like Tony explained. So this social investment can be an answer for investment that has quote unquote doubtness in the sustainability or the assurance issues. So, being said that, I mean, when Danantara can co-invest in certain infrastructure project along with the private sectors that has driven by our ROI or IRR, and JAKPRO also have can also co-invest in certain project that can fasten the infrastructure, the ecosystem in Jakarta. I think it will help in the short run, so that creating Jakarta to become global cities, investment hub sooner than we expected. I think it's a breakthrough as long as the coordination between the private sectors, governments, and central government, and Danantara, of course, can be how do you call it? Can be happening. I mean, we can frequently discuss to collaborate. Thank you.
No worry. I think Danantara will be becoming also liquidity providers. Okay. I think I have a bit impression different right now, because I thought that the investment for private sector long return is something. But actually, it doesn't matter really. It's not really matter. What does matter is actually
long term can be restructured. Can be structured with such finance restructuring.
I think what does matter for you, I think the private sector especially is the clear and also the certainty of the policy of government for securing all the investment. Okay, thank you. For time being that I have to leave this stage to let the floor to have some Q&A for you. Well, we have some time. If you have something to raise, please have some insight, or maybe you have some recommendation to all the speakers, and also some question that we may discuss on the stage. But please, if you have, probably I open for 2 or 3 audience. I believe the audience mostly are Indonesian, so I'm going to free flow for this. I think if you want to ask in our own language, this will be fine also. No question. You want, please, Tona.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Prof Tanto dan semua speakers. Selamat pagi. Yeah, mixed English Indonesia, yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Any will do, any will do. Please feel free.
Okay, I'm speaking as the head of Jakarta Investment Center. Actually, it's very relieving to hear that investors and businessmen are actually not only think about profiting, but also serving the purpose, thinking the future of the city. That is one very big happy news for me. In that sense, so me coming from the officials of the Department for Investment Integrated One-Stop Services, except, or I mean, beyond the financial incentives, what kind of like mindset change or cultural thing that you wish that you get from us as the officials of Jakarta? So beyond the financial incentives, yeah, probably you can share to us what do you think? I don't know, transparency, things like that. What do you feel that can help you to, you know, integrate those two things, profit and purpose, when doing business in Jakarta? Thank you.
Thank you, Tona. You specifically want to address this question to any of the speakers, but not me. Maybe you want to point some. Three gentlemen.
Yeah. Well, again, of course, we as a businessman are looking for profits, but more importantly, rather than only profits, we need again sustainable business and sustainable investment and secure investment for return for us, either short, mid, or long term. And this is not going to happen when there is no consistency in the policy. So we need, if you're asking about what is it that we need from the government, central Jakarta governments, we need such policy that can create stability and sustainability for our investments return, short, mid, or long term. We also needed, like you mentioned before, the incentives, productivity incentives. That's also what we needed. But well, business, it's common things that business people want to have want to run the business peacefully. So we don't want to be bothered with all the things that is not necessary. I think that like yeah, pungli lah dan whatever and when we apa namanya perizinan, for instance, like the license, that is also sometimes very difficult. How can we believe it's some to invest in something that we are also very difficult to get the license itself? So that kind of thing also what we need to support from the support from Jakarta government, from the government, aside than the incentive, monetary incentive as well, of course. I think that's it, the things.
Thank you. Tony?
Allow me to add, Pak Bayu. So, Ibu Tona, very good question. What is needed from the local government, right? Basically, as you know, we are from the business perspective. Of course, return is key, is paramount. But to achieve return, we need to, to do business, you need to apply for something, right? Perizinan for one thing. But in order to do that, we need certain things to be in place. Transparency, of course. What do we need if we want to do business A? What sort of like perizinan that we need to go through? And of course, also the turnaround time. If we apply on something, when can we expect to receive the answer? So speed is key, because investment is also about speed of execution. If we miss the window, sometimes the business also go away. And less bureaucracy, of course, will be something that we need. We don't need to go back and forth or to go to many different kind of entities in order to get some certain of perizinan. So and also what underlying above all of those is certainty. Can we do this business or not? Right? If there is no certainty, then it's very hard for us to do business anywhere we go. Again, from Danantara's perspective, we are sovereign wealth fund. We are configured from all the SOEs in Indonesia. More than 1,000, around 1,050 SOEs now under our asset management. And then, of course, by managing this SOE, we got the dividends to further improve this SOE, but part of the dividends we invest, right? When we invest anywhere, domestically and globally, with those parameters which I have mentioned earlier, profits as well as there is impacts, job creation, social impacts, etc. And we are happy to become the investment enablers, including in Jakarta, because our investment setup with all the SOEs under our asset management, obviously that already opens up many business opportunities for the local government. Not only the SOEs, but also we bring the private investors. Not only private investors, we also bring international investors. So again, we are happy to be the investment enablers. So all the cities, especially if there are projects that are really meaningful, both in the return as well as there is an impact, we are happy to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Cyril?
I think the question is something to do with actually, more social and low return, right? I see there are two sectors, right? One is something to do with problem flooding, and second is something to do with culture and arts, and that is something, two sectors that attractive. Now I can share with you why. That's one of the two sectors mentioned, flooding related and of course art. The other thing is something to do with who are actually interested in this one. Of course, entrepreneur. And the other one is so-called impact investment. Maybe you have heard impact investment. But impact investment, they don't really require return double digit, like 15%, 20%. They just have maybe a dollar return, which is already good. And that impact investment could relate to the flood area because, the community that impacted by governor program, let's say for example, the river has to be cleaned up and the flooding system has to be, clean and everything, something to do with drainage. And aside from river, a lot of community living there. So how do you do it with that? How to fix that problem? Impact investment is one of the things to train them, for example, and become more useful in terms of productivity, and ecosystem holistically has to be seen. Cannot be just one-to-one. It has to be holistically looking at the flooding system solution. And impact investment could be one of the things. Relating to the waste as well. So waste convert to, of course, there are many types of waste, organic waste, plastic waste, PET waste, and could be also electronic waste. And also those things still valuable. Even, used cooking oils now become a fractions of airline gasoline, and it's been tested. So that's the area. But the tips has to be seen holistically from Jakarta government perspective. What that links to the flood system solution at attract for investment. So that's one. The second is the historic culture art, museum. The question is, museum making money? Not all. But the traffic of museum could be actually giving a lot of prospects. How the traffic could be developed? Education. Kids, elementary school, maybe, once a month has to come to the museum and build actually the the what you call it, the ritual or the interest, most important, the interest of the kids to the art, and more valuable, to the either paintings, sculptures, and that's something to do with regulation to the elementary school, the middle school, high schools. Go to the museum. There are plenty of museums in Indonesia. Maybe unorganized, maybe unfunded, but they can survive with merchandising. So there are a lot of things, the gallery and museums, actually those are the things as well. So those are the two sectors relating to, low return to some degree, and of course, holistically has to be seen to fix the problem. I think that's my view. Thank you.
Yeah, so there are many creative industry that we can develop actually, the creative economy. Yeah, okay, I'll back to the floor. Is there any question or something that you want to convey to our speakers today? Okay, far away from the behind, please. Please mention your name and institution, and you address to whom this question.
Thank you. My name is Fitria. I'm from Patiro. I want to ask to Bapeda, specialist to Bapeda. As we know, the central government has policy to cut transfer fund or budget cut to the regional on 2026. And I want to know how significant this policy, the budget cut from government, central government, will be in fact for the fiscal capacity for Jakarta government. And what is the strategy from Jakarta government to promote the creative financing about this policy from central government to cut budget cut? Thank you.
Apparently being addressed to you, please, Adef.
Yeah, thank you for Mbak Fitria for the questions. Yeah, actually, how we are dealing with the reduce or the adjustment of the number of the transfer fund from the central government. Yeah, maybe all the audience already hear about our previous discussions with our governor discussions with the Ministry of Finance yesterday. Yeah, about how Jakarta positions regarding to the adjustment of the transfer fund. Yeah, we believe, yeah, even though it's quite significant, reduced until 15 trillion rupiah actually, it's a big number. Maybe it could be like several cities total annual budget, maybe in other cities, yeah. That means that the challenging is how we can prioritizing about the needs of Jakarta to make it more, to make sure that Jakarta settle, yeah, and still growing, and for sure that we are trying to not have a lack or a gap, yeah, regarding to the quality of our public services, yeah. That's why the challenging is how we can do some prioritizing, and for sure that you already mentioned, but your second question is how we can dealing with the creative financing, yeah. One of the some of the actions that we take is the governor is creating the engagement team. Yeah, that our head of board is one of the member of the engagement team, and one of the main purpose is how we can dealing and engage more creative financing through the national budget, yeah, including for the obligations. Obligations, and also for the, we are now doing with the PPP scheme regarding for the development of Jakarta Sewer System Zone 5 with Samsung. Yeah. Now, and how we can dealing with the all the stakeholders in entities. Yeah. Just like even for we have like several cluster of activities needed to make sure our Jakarta is sustained. For the small activities for educations, for our health, we're trying to engage with some of the CSR. So maybe one of the efforts for how we can meet the demand is maybe we'll try to engage more collaborations, and we believe, yeah, even though with our previous total amount of budget with the 95 trillion, is not enough to run on to deal with all this problem of Jakarta. Yeah, that's why we are trying to how we can create morely. Yeah, we're trying to how we can develop or creating the ecosystem. Yeah, so it's not only rely on our own budget. Yeah, for sure it's not enough. Yeah, even though that we already have previous one, yeah, like this year we have like 91 trillion. It's not enough for sure, because it's quite challenging if we only rely to our own local budget. That's why we are trying to speak with the Danantara. Yeah, then our governor has already mentioned before this meeting. We already mentioned to us to dealing with Danantara regarding to the waste treatment plan, and also how we can develop, including that you mentioned about the creative economy, yeah, including for the gigs. And now the challenging is how we can manage to the activities economic for the like for the market, yeah, traditional market, how we can ensure that the market still running, because that's why one of our efforts is how we can dealing with the Himbara, our national banks, because they have like additional 200 trillion rupiahs by the Ministry of Finance, and we believe that we can collaborate with the scheme. Yeah, one of what that we are trying to prepare for now is how we can manage to access for the some amount of the money from the Himbara, our national bank, yeah, so we can manage and still keep running for the our traditional economics through the market, yeah, including for the creative economy for the gigs, yeah. It's a big number, Pak, for the gigs economy, yeah. That's why mostly that of the stakeholders or the player of the gigs economies, there are mostly are creative industries. Yeah, that's why we are trying to how we can give the incentive. Incentives is not always like a fiscal. Yeah, it's also how we can providing a place for them to do their research, doing some their findings and develop their idea. It's also one of the intervention that we'd like to give to the Jakarta's economy in the future. So by those situations that Jakarta is quite confident, even though with the shortfall of the amount of transfers budget, that we believe that we can manage and do some collaborations with all the stakeholders and all the key players, yeah, in a global, even though including the domestic player, and also with our colleague from the ministry. Yeah, that's why our head of board is not here today, doing those activities. Yeah, I think that's all.
Well, thank you, Dev. Well, I may have one more. Okay, please. Oh, we have two. Okay. Name and your institution as well. You address your question to some of these speakers.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Titin Sutriani Syukur. I know Prof. Sutanto long time ago. Yeah, so I'm a Business Development Director of CCCC, China Communication Construction Indonesia. and it's one of the biggest infrastructure company from China and SOE. So given my question is asking for Tony from Danantara, given that Danantara focus on national impact that through food and energy security, I'm just wondering what type of project structure will make the most sense for collaboration? As for your information, Pa, we've been here for more than a decade as a SOE company from China. We directly invest in Makassar Parepare Railway in Makassar, and actually it with a PPPP scheme under public-private partnership with availability scheme, and as an investor, they all love it because there's a guarantee from IIGF, Indonesia investment, so it's guaranteed fund. So, so would Danantara be open to structuring a joint platform for PPPP investment to other foreign investor? So we can be like collaborate and creating more probably complicated infrastructure that as a China big infrastructure company could like collaborate and make a synergy. Thank you.
Thank you. We go to the next participant, far in the behind there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I would like to ask for all the audience, the speakers here. My name is Primadi. I'm from BI International. We are management consulting focusing on market entry and FDI into Indonesia. I'm also the members of several international chambers in Jakarta. I would like to ask for the speakers because the challenge for the let's say foreign direct investment into Indonesia is, or in the Jakarta itself, is about like regulation of policy. Some policy is changing, as we see from the, I would say, private gas station case recently. So I would like to ask, especially from Danantara and also from the Jakarta Investment Agency, regarding this is like, what is your advice for the foreign investors when they want to enter Indonesia, because like there is a changing policy and regulation. And I think my second question is to Pak Suryo from Danantara. So I think it's like one of the intention to create Danantara is like to lowering the risk for the foreign investment into Indonesia, because like we're working with Danantara, because like the foreign investor will work with Danantara itself. And I'd just like to know, so is it makes your company is becoming like DFIs, Development Financial Institution, which like able to absorb like a high risk, or you're still working as a typical private equity or like sovereign wealth fund like Temasek itself? Of course, a company like Temasek also absorbs so many losses, just like they had in the Gojek case for investment. Thank you very much, Pak. Thank you.
So address to Tony and Idef, right? Yeah? Please. Whoever come first.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah, thank you for the questions. Maybe for the second question, because the first one is directly to Pak Tony. For the, actually based from the, regarding to your question and also all the comments from the another speakers, mentions about their preference. I actually, we already noticed about the idea of how we can engage more investment in Jakarta. Yeah, actually, this is, I make here actually some notes during the discussion. Yeah, if I may, there's at least there are three key points that we have like to focusly on to be more focused on how to improve the process. Yeah, the first one is about make it more simple. Yeah, and the second one is be more fast. Yeah, faster, and the last one is about the transparent. Yeah, yeah. That's why we believe with all the commitment or the political commitment from the governor and also all the key stakeholders here in Jakarta agencies. We believe that we should like transform. Yeah, now we are on the track to start for the creating the digitalized transformations. Yeah, we're trying to make it more seamless process and seamless delaying about how can people more doing they're starting for the infestation here in Jakarta, and but for the to make sure about the sustainability also, we're trying to not only in local perspective, but we are trying to how we can we try to in line with the national policy. So we are trying to so whenever we are put in line with the national policy, that means that we are no gap or we are no have different positions with the central government. I believe that if we are quite in line, we believe that Jakarta could be more sustained, because all the things that we are trying to develop, what we are trying to creating for the ecosystem of the investment here in Jakarta, it's all quite in line with all the nationals policy. So that's besides all the make it more simple, fast, and transparent through the digitalizations transformations. We do believe by in line with the national government policy, it could be like give more certainty and more sustain for the private for the future.
Thank you, Pak Dev. Pak Tony, you have some?
Oke. Mohon izin tadi saya nggak nangkap namanya Ibu Titin ya. Ibu Titin dari CTCC ya Bu ya. So the question was gimana sih platformnya, terutama kalau berkaitan dengan CTCC, Food and Agri kan Ibu ya. So khusus untuk Danantara, platform yang kita bisa lakukan is multiple platforms Bu. We can do as a sole investor, we can be co-investor, we can be the majority, we can be minority, we can exit fast, we can exit long, we can not exit, yeah. So multiple scenarios we can consider Bu. Jadi again, basically again it comes to the underlying investment principle aja Bu. So as long as it's within our investment principles, which is it provides sensible return, it also confirm with our risk appetite, and the third will be the impact, there is an impact, then definitely all kind of alternatives of partnerships we can definitely explore. So that's my question on that question. Dan pertanyaan kedua dari Pak Junadi ya Pak ya, mohon maaf kalau salah. Dimadi ya. Oke. Gimana sih challenge-nya untuk FDI masuk ke Indonesia? Kadang policy is a challenge, and of course we know that policy sometimes change, and sometimes it change to our benefit, sometimes juga against our benefit. But we in Danantara, of course, we are formed directly by President, and then the intention from Pak President himself is quite clear. We operate as corporation, and we want to bring the good governance into the country, and that can be reflected within our asset in our under management. So, having said that, the ease of business is something that we really, really thrive for. And so far, there is a good intention from the government to really adjust if there are roadblocks, there are bottlenecks in the policies that can really hinder every investment that can be beneficial for the country. So again, we try to leverage in our position as a game changer in the country that can bring prosperity to the all citizen, that can really, whether we can streamline whatever policy that is not feasible or tidak sesuai, then we will try, as long as it's for the benefits of our investment and for the benefits for the country of Indonesia. That's from the Danantara's perspective. Lastly, intention. Okay, what is our intention? Lower risk. Okay, basically, can we absorb losses or not? That is something that the question was asked around about, right? In investment, of course, there are risks, right? But what we will try to do is really identify and calculate that risk. And if that risk is something that we can really take, then we will do it. If there is loss, of course, there are 10 or multiple hundred investment, there will be some kind of risk embedded in our investment. And that's natural. You cannot make profit in every decision that you make. But as long as you can identify that in front, and it is within the risk parameters that has been agreed, because we have also our investment committee, we have also our risk committee, we have also audit committee to really approve whatever the project that we are doing. And we will be transparent, Danantara will be transparent. We will publish the projects on annual basis. So we will try to avoid doing something that public will not know. So I think that is something that we can share.
Well, I think they answer already the questions. Okay, I was being reminded by the organizer that we are going to close this session, but I don't think I have to wrap up all the discussion today, but some things that probably we can underline is actually there are many opportunities doing business in Jakarta, and well, many investors also thinking about to have clear regulation, clean government, and security of investment. I think that is the issue, and also wondering to me that I heard that probably long return doesn't matter. What does matter is really the clear government and clean government, and also the sustainability of your investment. Okay, before that, I think I would like to have your closing remarks. Maybe you have 1-2 minutes closing remarks before we close the session. Maybe starting from Bayu. Maybe you want to convey something to the audience, please.
Yeah, maybe. I write down my closing statements, actually. Jakarta is approaching its 500th anniversary. A strong culture and vibrant spirit have been flourishing. Let's collaborate to transform Jakarta into a prominent global business center with productive and happy citizens.
Thank you. Dr. Cyril? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think Jakarta has its own uniqueness for investment. Not only infrastructures, but also definitely cultures is very important, and also other a lot of attractive points that has been developed by the government. I think that's very good. And provide clean and responsive governance with one-stop service is good, as well as holistic approach. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony, please.
Okay. I would like to share my personal experience. I live in Jakarta. I was not born in Jakarta, but I live in Jakarta. And I actually a daily user of public transportation. So almost every day I use busway. Previously, 10 years ago, looking at public transportation, I might not want to use public transportation. But now, almost daily, I use busway. Why? Because I feel it's quite convenient, comfortable. I wish I have the MRT, but unfortunately, my house is not passed by MRT. Hopefully, the government of Jakarta can one day bring more lines of MRT to whole Jakarta. But even using busway itself, I already feel like, oh, I feel as a real citizen of Jakarta. And I feel the developed kind of maturity of the people, right? Before I walk through the streets, I feel unsafe. But now I walk through the streets in Jakarta. I mean, in my office, the dress attire is either long sleeve batik or suits. I'm okay using busway, using ojek, on my business attire. So I feel now Jakarta is maturing, right? So with that, I think with the maturity now lies the opportunity, the next opportunity. How can you really leverage on this maturity? Not only the people, but also everything inside Jakarta. And that is the opportunity that we need to grab together. And from Danantara, of course, we're happy to partner with everyone. Thank you.
Good. I think we have a similar situation. I feel like having no leg if I move to Sudirman Tamrin without MRT. Okay, Dev, you may have something.
Yeah, based on from our previous discussions that we believe by that I already know about the make it more simple, faster, transparent. We believe that we can increase the certainty and the sustainability of the investment here in Jakarta, and for sure, Jakarta is committed to improve all the aspirations from the speakers and also a question from the participants. So please, we should be like Jakarta can doing itself. Yeah, Jakarta cannot do it itself. Then we believe we can do more and we can do further if we are working together. So please join with us on the journey of Jakarta to be more global, more livable, and creating Jakarta a city for all. That's all about.
Thank you. I think this is the end of this session, and I would like to appreciate and thank to Bayu, Dr. Cyril, Pak Tony, and also Pak Dev for the time and also the discussion we have until this 12 o'clock. Okay, and before we close, I would like to invite all a big applause from the floor for these distinguished speakers. Thank you very much. And now I return the session to you.
Thank you very much. Our moderator of today, Professor Dr. Insinyur Sutanto Suehodho, M.Eng. Let's give a big round of applause, everyone, for all of our speakers and moderator for a terrific discussion. There is no more boundaries between the government officials, private sectors, and hopefully the society as well, because we want only one for the better Jakarta. And we invite everyone for a photo opportunity. Yes, gentlemen, don't forget to smile and face the camera. All right, thank you so much. Gentlemen, you may all return to your seats once again. Thank you for sharing your ideas and perspective in this plenary discussion that have set the tone for Jakarta Investment Festival Summit 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the plenary session and we'll proceed with the next agenda. But before that, we have come to lunch break. So we kindly invite you as well to be ready for lunch. But before that, kindly do the scan for our survey's QR code that will be displayed on the screen, because we need your perspectives as well for the betterment of JIF 2025 and forward. So once again, we'd like to invite everyone to please scan the QR code for a survey for the better JIF next year's. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for lunch, so please take this opportunity to enjoy the food, to mingle with the others, and also extend the networkings, exchange ideas, and recharge before our next set of sessions. We've got some wonderful food available just for you outside at the foyer area for you to enjoy. And we will reconvene at 1 p.m. this afternoon after lunch for the parallel thematic discussions, carrying the discussions on public diplomacy, AI for innovation and creative industry at the Caroline Ballroom, which is here, and the Newport Meeting Room. Thank you very much. And for now, we wish you to enjoy your lunch, extend the networks and chit-chats with partners and clients, and hope to see you again back and reconvened at this ballroom at 1. Thank you and enjoy your lunch.